on to another scintillating edition of Newspaper Review. In this new month of November, we welcome you, and don't forget, as usual, we are going to take you through the length and breadth of events as they unravel, and likewise we are going to take you onto the event that is on course. Likewise, what is described as a scoop in journalism, you are going to have them today, being the first production from the news and current affairs. We are going to take you through education, through politics, economy, sports, and of course we are going to take you through foreign and other facets of journalism, and in terms of what happens in your midst and what happens beyond. Now we are going to review about 13 national newspapers, and then let us have few of them, and you are going to enjoy today. I promise you that we are going to start. We are going to have the Daily Times, likewise we are going to have a leadership newspaper. We're going to have This Day newspaper, Daily Trust, Tribune. We are going to have New Telegraph, The Guardian. We are going to have a Blueprint, likewise the Sun newspaper, likewise Vanguard, then Punch is part of what we are going to review today, and The Nation. These are a few of the people that we are going to review today, and as I promise you, it is going to be scintillating and interesting today. Yes, before we have let us have the top story in each of these newspapers. Let us have it from the Daily Times. The Daily Times says, U.S. terror alert force irresponsible. That is accredited to the federal government. Likewise, the riders 2023 election, Buhari charges police to remain politically neutral. Likewise, another rider says Buhari jets out to London for medical trip. Likewise, 2023 PDP undecided on candidate to support for presidency. That is little we have for you. That is from that one. Then when it's time, then let us look at leadership newspaper. What does it for us today? Leadership newspaper, will of Nigerians must prevail in 2023. That is from leadership. And the riders of this campaign, we are not broke. Labour Party and NNPP. Then China harbors complete construction of $1.5 million Lekki Deep Sea Port. These are some of these things that we are going to look at today. Then I promise you that you are going to enjoy it. Now, let us take them one after the other. Let us start from the first one, which is the leadership newspaper. From the leadership newspaper, will of Nigerians must prevail in 2023. That is the saying of many stakeholders, starting from the president of this country, saying that the will of Nigeria, that is to charge everybody should be ready, particularly all electorate, all voters should be ready that our vote is going to count this particular time. Therefore, don't let us be pessimistic about it. Likewise, from this day, NSA Nigeria not under any heightened sense of insecurity. Yes, NSA, that is from the, I think that is one of the outcome of the meeting that was held yesterday. That is from the This Day newspaper. Likewise, from Business News, that is Daily Trust, is coming from this business. Dollar scarcity eats BDCs sells at around 18 naira per dollar. That one is not worth somehow good. Now let us move on to New Telegraph. Miyetti Allah, state-sponsored vigilantes hordes fueling Nigeria's insecurity. That is from the New Telegraph. Likewise, from the Blueprint, we have U.S., UK, Germany, others terror alert force irresponsible. That is from the Blueprint. Likewise, from the Sun. Let's move on to Sun. Abuja terrorism alert. Federal government confirms suspects arrest. Yes, that is to say that there's a little atom of truth in what we are having. The rider is herdsmen list conditions for peace in communities. Likewise, another rider, Buhari warns police against unprofessional conduct during election. And coming from Vanguard, UK, related to that one that we have been mentioned before, UK-US terror alert on ended situation, not so bad. That is credited to NSA. Now, the Punch also, federal government has assured Nigerians pushes back against US, UK. You can see that is common to almost every paper this morning. Likewise, The Nation, from The Nation newspaper, federal government dismisses US, UK terror alert on Abuja. We are still emphasizing security again. Let us now, I hope you have heard, and we are going to give you many more tips as my commentator has come, the person that has gone to the length and breadth of this world. When you talk about Europe, when you talk about business, politics, everything. This is a man that is capable, the first person to appear in this new month of November. You are welcome, sir, Mr. Sani Ajayi. You are welcome, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Yes, I always say your name is a compounded word, because Sani is a word, it's an English word. Ajayi is our own. Then we compound it together. When everybody wants to call you, we are supposed to say Sani Ajayi. You are welcome, sir.
I appreciate you, sir.
Yes, we have talked about some of the things I think which you are aware. Let us start from the common information that we have here from the Daily Times. It says that U.S. terror alert false, irresponsible, credited to the federal government. How is there any atom of truth in the alert?
Well, I don't think so. First and foremost, let me really thank you for having me on. Because if you go by what the South African president said, he said, why the alarm? Why the alarm? They are not at war and nothing's happening. Even Ukraine and Russia, they are battling it out. They don't create such a alarm or alert or whatever. They don't tell, the Polish that, oh, look, or the Poles as we call them, that look, or, the Russia is going to bomb them, or, and Crimea or the rest of them. Why Africa? Every time Africa, Africa, Africa. So for me, I don't think it is highly something we need to bother about, but at the same time, it's a wake-up call that there's still fire on the mountain. So our security agencies should not relax. I think that's the way I see it. But it's going to create a kind of, maybe awareness that these people are going to strike us or whatever. I don't believe it. And rather, it's trying to create fears, in the minds of our diaspora citizens. Yes.
Yesterday, President Buhari held a meeting with the security officers. I think some people say that is one of the pointers to the fact that there is story behind the story regarding to what is the issue of Abuja. Why hold a meeting if there's nothing to?
Yeah, if there's no smoke. Yeah, for me, I think, like I said, it's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call to let us know that, come on, guys. These guys are still there, and if we go by what Gumi said, who also was a military officer before, that these guys are not going to be asking for dollars, then we should know that our intelligence gathering mechanism should be weaponized in the way that everybody now becomes an intelligence officer, because people will say that there's no smoke, there's no fire. So for him now to be telling us in advance that whether we change our Naira notes or we don't change our Naira notes, these guys are going to be asking for dollars. So the federal government should take note of that.
Let's look at the leadership. This one is about politics. Will of Nigerians must prevail in 2023. How was it before then? What is going to be the projection?
Well, the will of Nigerians is always a prevailing, because the country gets the leader it deserves. We can't run away from that. You see, and Oshun is a classic example. And I'm going to rush here. 1999, Baba Konde came to power. He was not a rich man, but he was a man of virtues and the rest of them. And he did a lot. Nobody, accused him of embezzlement. And he beat his secretariat. Was he given a second chance? Then Onyo came to power. Everybody was happy. He paid workers, he did everything he could. When he was leaving, he can tell the story on his own. Then when Rauf was coming to town, drums were rolling, everything, everybody was jumping on this and that, and he changed the face of the state, especially the capital, and he left with Afusat as a nickname. Now we have Gwego Yetola, who is there. So for me, I don't think that
Cancelled AFUSA.
yeah, cancel the AFUSAT, pay worker salaries, give insurance, covers to the vulnerables, feed them on a monthly basis, completed most of the projects, particularly this on Obapono, to the stadium, and the rest of them like that, and he has not been accused of any corruption anywhere. He's paying worker salaries, he's paying, scheduled, pensions and the rest of them, and yet, what are the people saying right now? So for me, even if you listen to them and the way they talk about the tribunal, they say either way it goes, let them just come over and do their 4 years and get away. So a nation deserves the leaders that the citizens actually choose. So for them to say the will of the people, we can't. The will of the people has always been materializing. It's only for the people themselves to have a rethink, and think out of the box and out of everything, and maybe apply rocket science to be able to know.
Let's look at this story from business. That is Daily Trust. Let us take it from Daily Trust. Yes. Dollar scarcity is BDC's sells at 818 naira per dollar. What is the fate of a common man?
The fate of a common man is always the fate of a common man, because poverty is the way everybody takes it to be. Poverty is relative. People are poor if they decide to be poor. Because not everything we buy in this country is domiciled in dollars. Yeah, but we on our own create problems for ourselves. Because you start from the food items. Are they bought in dollars from the farms? No. You go to other areas like petroleum and the rest of them. Are they bought in dollars? No. But at the end of the day, the people themselves are the enemies of themselves. And the people they think, are governing them also are self-centered. They don't buy gasoline. They don't even know how this gets to their generator. Their food items are supplied, and everything they do is free of charge. So the people on their own should sit down and think. And if they say dollar is 811, I don't know where they get it. 818. I don't know where they get that from, because a few days ago, I still find out from here, Shopo now in Sabo, and I was told that the dollar is changing for 740 naira. So within the last 2 days and now to now jump to 818, I do not know. I think
where do we have the challenge? Look at when before Buhari came, we know how much we are paying for the exchange of.
The challenges are
then
known.
Look at
the challenges are known, but they are deliberate, allegedly. How? First and foremost, we are export-driven economy, which is sad. That's the first problem. Everything we use in this country is imported. As we're in the studio right now, there's virtually nothing including ourselves that is not imported. And all these things are domiciled in foreign currencies. That's number one. Number two, we keep on devaluing our currency when we are only importing. We are import-driven something. Everything we do. Whereas we should be export-driven in the sense that, okay, we produce this, we send them abroad, we produce that, we send them abroad, and at the end of the day, we balance our payment. But what do? We import virtually everything from China, from all this and that, and most of them are inferior. So that's one aspect of it. Then we talk about crude oil. Crude oil itself, has no benefits to Nigerians. Why? We send away, the beef, and we get corned beef back. We send away the fish, and we get sardine. It doesn't make sense. When we sell our crude oil over there, and then what do? First and foremost, we now import all the byproducts of that crude oil: engine oil, diesel, kerosene, grease, aviation fuel, brake oil, name them all imported and in foreign currencies. So what's the value of the crude oil? It is zero. Whereas what we should do first, and there are so many nations on earth that does not have a single barrel of crude oil, and it's cheaper over there than here in Nigeria. Sometimes I laugh when people say, oh, in Nigeria, with 10 naira, if 10 naira cannot buy anything, let's start from 20 naira, and that's the fault of the central bank that so devalued our currency that even 5 naira, 10 naira become worthless. Whereas in America, 1 cent goes a long way. They tell you it's $20.99, and they will still give us actually 1 cent back. So it shows the value of the currency. But here, 20 naira is the beginning of our currency. So when you look at all this and put them together holistically, you now realize where we are, where people are getting poorer, and the nation itself is allegedly drifting. So what we need now is that as we now go into the election year, we should look for somebody who can reinvent our nation.
You can revive.
Yeah, you know, in fact, it's to reinvent it. You know, it's to touch virtually everything from A to Z, starting from education, starting from a value system, security, and the rest of it. You know, once we have a robust value system, everything will come in place. You know, if people now are accountable for what they have, and we are less materialistic, and we shift from religion economy, you know, to knowledge economy, Nigeria will change. When we shift from paying the politicians more than the professors in the university, Nigeria will change. When we now bring the civil service structure in terms of salaries and emoluments to the parliaments, Nigeria will change. You know, so that people will have values. You know, and everybody will not be rushing for politics. Everybody will not be rushing to say at all costs they must be there, because many people get there without even being prepared. They just want to get to the offices, and when they get to the offices, they're overwhelmed by the exigencies of the place, responsibilities bestowed on them, and they now start rabble-rousing. And that's where we are. So for me, the guy who we are looking forward to is a guy who has done it before. A guy who pedigrees can be ascertained. A guy who we know has formerly been a governor or a senator or this and that.
Okay. Let's look at the New Telegraph. This one, because security is the bane of every society. Because if you can trace it from the time of Obasanjo, then that was the time that some people believed that peace ruled in Nigeria, that is, leave Nigeria. After that one, then we were having unrest here in here. Miete Allah says, that is from New Telegraph. Miete Allah says, state-sponsored vigilantes all fueling Nigeria's insecurity.
Oh, well, for me, everybody has fundamental right to say anything as long as it's legally
security
okay.
Business?
When it comes to security, I think Miete Allah is number one, you know, to be accused of that. Because most times, particularly in the food basket zones of the country, you know, they keep on saying that they're responsible for this or for that, you know, in those days. And again, their utterances have not been helpful in any way. Anyway, and again, it is a majorly one ethnic clans organization. There's no single Hausa man in Miete Allah. None. Yeah, so what are we talking about? And people will be telling you Hausa Fulani, and I wonder whether, you know, anybody has two fathers. You either be Hausa or be Fulani. You either be Yoruba or be Shekiri. You either be BPU or be Efik. You know, so all these diseases, left, right, and center, are the bane of our society. So for Miete Allah is talking for his people. He's not talking for all of us. It's just like when Chief Adebanjo, you know, talks and said that he has endorsed Peter Obi. He's only talking for himself and his family. He's not talking for the Yorubas. Because even in Lagos, in constituency, has he ever won any election? No. He has never won any election. So, well, you know, that's why it is high time we started to really try to, you know, put all these our so-called leaders on scales, you know, of performance and successes.
You won't ask them questions.
Ask them questions. You know, even here in Osun State, they parade themselves all over the places, claiming to be leaders, and go to their wards. They've lost elections. You know, go to their unit. They lost elections. Go everywhere, they lost elections. And yet they still call themselves leaders. So until we realized that the people who are supposed to be looked at and supposed to be respected are people that are really worth it. You know, otherwise we'll be making mistakes. So for me, you know, if you look at the whole thing, I'm not campaigning, but when we look at all the people right now in the arena, I think the guy that stands...
Okay, let us look at Daily Sun. Abuja terrorism alert. Federal government confirms suspect arrest.
Yes.
There was no cause for alarm then.
In fact, if you go by what a section of the media is saying, it's like, okay, it was a combination of even the Yankees, the Marines, you know, allegedly now, the DSS and the rest of them who were able to arrest that suspect. So we can now see, like I said, there is no fire without smoke. We can now see that the U.S. alert cannot be thrown just away like that. We need to sieve it, you know, take away the wheat from the chaff, you know, so that at the end of the day, we are not caught napping. They're just there. You know, many times we are so reactive instead of being proactive, and that has been our being. You know, we need to have more intelligence gathering mechanisms in place. We need to be more patriotic, and patriotism has to start from the government that takes care of the people. You know, because patriotism is not put on the shelf. They will quote, J.F. Kennedy. I don't think of what America will do for you, but think of what you can do for America. But America has done everything for people right from the time they are in their mother's wombs. So they have nothing now than to pay back. But is it the same thing in Nigeria? No. You know, children suffer from their mother's womb until adulthood. So anti-patriotism is really put on a scale, you know, of preference. Is then we can move forward.
Okay, let us look at the rider in Vanguard, the newspaper for today. It says gas flaring. Federal government targets $1 billion revenue from sale of 50 gas clusters. That is the economy. Is that a good news for us?
Yeah, I think so. But let's look at it, you know, critically. You know, right now we have the Ukraine-Russian war, and this is the time for us to have been making a lot of money. You know, a lot of hard currencies. Yeah, because if we have been able to be sensible, if we have been able to be strategic, we know we lack a strategic planning in this nation. And the people in charge of national planning and budgeting and the rest of them like that, I don't know what they budget for. Because budgeting itself has to do with what, you know, the inflows of funds from all over the world. You know, right now, Russia is one of the major suppliers of gas to Europe, and the European countries are trying to distance themselves from Russia. Can't we catch on that? You know, like some of these Arab nations are doing right now. We cannot, because we don't have the facilities. So if you go to Niger Delta, you see the way our gas is being wasted. And again, look at the cubic liter of gas. It's going to about 900 naira. You know, so it's absolutely ridiculous. So for me, I think it's high time we started to look inwardly and factor a lot of things into our budgeting, right from the local county levels to the state, to the federal government, and the rest of them like that, so that we can continually be catching on the phenomenon as it arises. Because Saudi Arabia was able to privatize and sell its own refineries longest time ago when we are still crawling. And then I was told, or we all were learned, that billions of dollars allegedly poured into, you know, revitalizing the existing refineries. We are yet to see the results. Whereas in the U.S., you know, as much as it has mega refineries, you know, privately owned, state-owned, and the rest of them still have the majority number of small modular refineries around the world. So I don't know why we are destroying ours in Niger Delta. Why can't we improve the technology? You know, why can't we civilize those guys? Why do we criminalize them? You know, why do we run after them? If one Chinese has come over now to Niger Delta and start, you know, setting up those modular refineries, we'll be jumping up.
Instead of destroying.
We can improve on them. We can give those people the technical skills abroad, you know, and then we can make the whole place now self-sufficient in neighborhood, you know, refined products. And then we stop importing everything that our cars use, you know, like brake oil, like engine oil, like gear oil, grease, and the rest of them like that. There are so many byproducts of crude oil. Unfortunately, this is where our naira keeps on depreciating because we are nothing but import-driven economy, and it doesn't
Look
work.
at this rider from the Punch today. Marketers protest 185 liters fuel threatening strike. Can we still endure another strike again?
This is what I'm saying right now. You know, what Nigeria needs is a reinvention. Because strike here, as we are just resumed right now, those kids are going to be rushed. And ASU is a universal system. University itself is a universe. And so when the products come out of Nigerian university, they go abroad, they're still going to do extra semesters. Yes, to be able to cope or be able to be admitted. So now strike here, strike left, right, and center. Why can't the authorities just sit down for God's sake and map out new strategies? Because we can't be doing things the same way and getting bad results, and we don't think we cannot change. So I think the system has to be overhauled. You know, Mr. President is doing his very best, but again, Nigeria is too large to be run by one single individual. And that's why we're talking about restructuring, that we give states autonomy. that will make states to develop on their own, that made the resources of the state to be managed by the people themselves, and for them to be able to pay their salaries and do what they think are their priorities. New York. New York is a city, but New York has Brooklyn, has Queens, has the Bronx. But I want to tell you one thing. In downtown Manhattan, the downtown Manhattan difference from Brooklyn is within minutes, depending on the mode of transportation. But the salaries are not the same. Within the same neighborhood, the salaries are not the same. The suit bought in downtown Manhattan for about $600, when one gets to Brooklyn, can get the same suit for $100. Same thing. That is a country. That is the way system runs.
I want to appreciate it because we cannot exhaust all what we have.